Hey, I'm Billy, and welcome to my podcast where I will be talking about the dual narrative and the themes involved in MAUS. In MAUS, they don't only talk about the life that the writer's dad Vladek lived in the Holocaust, but also the millions of Jews that died during the Holocaust and during World War II. In my podcast as well, I'll be talking about the theme of power and morality and ethics through the whole book, but more importantly, the chapter I've chosen, which is Chapter 4, Part 2. Throughout Chapter 4, Part 2, a clear difference of power is shown with the dominance of the Nazis, being able to hold 40 different Jews captive by a lake, all for the self-power of the Jews to be able to live, and in one example, have the courage to jump in the lake and swim away from the Nazis whilst they're holding guns pointed to the group. In this image here, Art Spiegelman utilizes an offer of the gods and other Jews glancing an older guy who overpowered the Nazis and built the courage to jump into and swim across the lake to live freely. The use of offer expresses the emotions of fear and the courage of the Jews for the reader to clearly see. And in that image there, Spiegelman positions the audience to experience the moment from Vladek's perspective. The German soldier Glaze demands that we as Vladek should be scared and intimidated by his violence and power with a gun pointed towards us. These images shown in Chapter 4, Part 2 clearly state that the power held and shown by the Nazis and Jews were completely different, but also very, very strong. Without further ado, in about 3 seconds' time, I'll be talking about morality and ethics shown in Chapter 4, Part 2 and in MAUS. Throughout MAUS and Chapter 4, Part 2, a clear example of morality and ethics is shown, with the separation of the Jews, with some being treated like normal human beings, and others celebrating finding normal clothes and milk. This highlights the disparity between the treatment of groups of people in the Holocaust. In that image over there, Spiegelman portrays the very dark colours and tone in this image to keep the main focus on drinking milk. This represents the importance and shows what this moment means to Vladek after he has gone months and months on low sources and has almost no energy. The emphasis on the slup at the top of the image shows us the struggles he faced at Auschwitz. See, you may have realised the copy of MAUS that I put up there, but in this image here, Art utilises a strong offer which shows the elderly woman pointing and assuming that Vladek and his friend are stilling as she could tell they were Jewish. This shows majorly how Jews were treated and also implies that they lost a lot of the rights you should have as a normal person in that time, and now. MAUS clearly illustrates the theme of morality and ethics throughout Chapter 4, Part 2, which I've described and supported with the images. In this section, Spiegelman highlights how the Holocaust created a world where the normal standards of right and wrong were completely broken down, leaving people to face situations where moral choices were almost impossible. These images played an essential role in emphasizing this, as they not only depict the cruelty and inhumanity of the Nazis, but also show the difficult and sometimes heartbreaking decisions that Jews were forced to make in order to survive the Holocaust. So now you might be thinking, where's the copy of MAUS gone? But it's right there. But despite that, in MAUS, the dual narrative plays an important role in showing both the experiences of the Jews during the Holocaust and the lasting impact those events had on the later generations. Throughout Vladek's memories, readers are given a confronting look into the horrific reality of life in Auschwitz, where Jews were stripped of their humanity and lived under constant fear, suffering, and oppression. This story highlights the overwhelming use of power by the Nazis, who controlled every aspect of the prisoners' lives and reduced people to mere numbers rather than human beings. This abuse of power is shown not only in physical violence and death, but also in the way survival itself depended on luck, betrayal, and unimaginable choices. Thank you for listening to my podcast about MAUS.